A dozen Tory MPs have signed a new bill that they say would protect people's right to criticise religion in law. Comes just days after a man was found guilty of a religiously aggravated public order offence for burning a copy of the Quran.
So, is it OK to criticise religion with such actions? Media commentator and British Muslim writer Dr Rakib Ehsan say, yes, it is. It's part of our freedom of speech.
But former Labour advisor Scarlett McGwire says open debate can go too far. And I guess, Scarlett, what does too far mean? I mean, it's a free society. If I want to say I think the Catholic religion is ridiculous or that I think Mormonism is wrong, that's my right.
No, I think we have to respect religions, right? I mean, I'm an atheist and I respect other people's religions, but I think we can absolutely criticise. What I worry about is denigrating religion and doing things that actually provoke people of that religion. Something like, if you were going to burn a Bible outside a church when people were coming out, that's a deliberately provocative act. I think that's wrong.
In my back garden, though, it's fine.
Yeah, do what you want in your back garden. What I'm talking about is the law at the moment is absolutely fine. The law at the moment says, of course you can do it in your back garden, but the law at the moment would say, possibly, probably, that actually if you burnt a Bible outside a church as people were coming out, it's a deliberately provocative act and it's a public order offence. And I think we should just leave it there and not go any further.
Dr Rakib, what's your concern about this? Because I'm sure you don't want people to be provocative. So why would you say people should be allowed to burn a Bible outside a church or a Quran outside in a demonstration? Because those are quite visceral things, aren't they? We all have memories of, I don't know, whether it be Nazi Germany or anything, but the burning of a religious text, I think it's quite an emotive thing.
No, absolutely. And I find the desecration of holy texts grotesque, in my view. And I also find, for example, the promotion of derogatory cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, I find that grotesque as well. But what I'm concerned about is, ultimately, are we undermining a social contract where religious freedom also comes the responsibility of accepting that people may behave towards your religion that you may not like? And I think the problem is that if there was a revival of blasphemy laws, I actually think that would do more harm than good for religious social conservatives. Now, for example, British Muslims, they have the freedom to work towards spreading their faith. Now, that might involve criticising other religions. That includes challenging the doctrines of the Trinity and incarnation in Christianity, or scrutinising and criticising idol worship in polytheistic religions such as Hinduism. Now, some people, more devout members of the Christian and Hindu communities, they might consider that to be blasphemous. So I think if you were to introduce blasphemy laws, you might be opening a potential can of worms.
I think the accusation is that if we change the law, it's introducing blasphemy laws by the back door.
No.
That's the concern,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we'd make the point that the medieval common law offences of blasphemy and blasphemous libel, they were formally abolished back in 2008. And if there's a perception that blasphemy laws are being revived by the courts, then there is a possibility that people would perceive that to be a very undemocratic development.
But these Tory MPs are wanting to change the law to stop blasphemy laws being reintroduced, because they've gone. Just to understand, though, if outside a synagogue and people are making anti-Semitic chants wearing Nazi uniforms, or if outside a mosque people are standing, not only burning a Quran, but also, I don't know, if they are...
chanting anti-Muslim slogans.
Are you saying that's OK?
No, that's absolutely not OK. I think that that's disrupting public order offence.
And you would want the public order law to be used to stop that happening?
No, absolutely, but I think...
Which is what happened in this case.
Yeah, and ultimately what I support is law enforcement intervening in cases where there are clearly public order offences. But I think that, even from a socially conservative standpoint, I think that a cornerstone of liberal democracy is being free to criticise religions and orthodox religious doctrines and the impacts it may have on wider society.
What's the difference between criticising religion and anti-Semitic chanting outside of synagogue?
No, because I think anti-Semitic chanting, you're targeting a specific religious group, a religious people.
Causing them harm.
Exactly. While religious... there's a difference between targeting and harassing and discriminating against people, but actually challenging and scrutinising religious doctrines and teachings.
I mean, that was the reason why this debate has begun about changing the laws in some ways, isn't it? Because in the situation of the case that's brought a lot of this to light, they had to go to other areas of the law in order to prevent this provocative action of burning the Quran.
But it was a public order offence.
Yeah.
And I think the law is fine, and I don't think that I don't think it's about blasphemy, right?
Because the individual was not convicted of burning the Quran, was
No.
No, he was. It was absolutely about a public order offence, and I just think if you're provoking disorder, I mean, remember, you know, we had riots last year, right? That were really, really scary for many people. And I just think that what we want is we want to put it down. We want to have no public order offence. And actually, instead of having arguments about whether we're going to bring back blasphemy, which clearly this has nothing to do with it, is that actually we can have more debate about religion. But I mean, we live in a tolerant society. It's really, really important that actually the effort goes into making us more tolerant rather than more divisive.
You're saying we don't need to change the law.
We do not need to change the law.
Do we need to change the law if the public order laws at the moment allow us to stop the anti-Semitic demonstration outside a synagogue while allowing people to express views on religion?
I think what I support carefully crafted and well-considered laws. And I think that, for example, people say that, there's some people who argue that the desecration of holy texts, that should be banned. But I actually think that that could actually inflame anti-religion rebelliousness. And if you were to introduce legislation like that, you might actually see more burning of
So
desecration.
do we need new legislation or not?
I think, in my view, if we have new legislation, it needs to be very carefully crafted. But I think the current arrangements in place allow for people to address public order offences in terms of from a law enforcement perspective.
So the 12 Conservative MPs who are saying we need a new law to say we're not reintroducing blasphemy, both of you are saying, actually, we don't need that. What we just need to do is make sure that we make the current system work well.
Yeah,
And also, you have to think, why are they doing it? Right? Why? Because when we first had the whole thing about hate speech, I think it was back in, it was before 2010 anyway. I mean, there were a lot of evangelical Christians who wanted the right to be very abusive about Islam. And actually, that's what also worries me, is that it's a divisive thing. And instead, let the law stay the way it is. You know, we have no blasphemy laws. We have proper public order law. Let's not get it confused.
No, absolutely.
Good to speak to both of you this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
It's nice to have a debate where people end up agreeing. Isn't that good?
We love agreement and joy, don't we, on this show?